Alright, today is an exciting day for me because Farrah's engine parts came. Now, I might have mentioned this to you earlier in the first video, but the guy I bought the car from said, everything's there, all the parts are there, whatever's not there I'll send you. So when I drove 6 hours to look at the car, there were a set of baby blue valve covers in the trunk with a set of rocker arms and stuff like that. Now, personally, I've never handled rocker arms or worked on pretty much a car this old in my mechanic career. So I didn't even know what they looked like. So I just took it for granted. You know what I mean? They're in the trunk and you're thinking, yeah, you know, they're there. I didn't have to inventory them. I just, you know, they're there. It's what he said. So when I got them home, I got the car home and started inventorying everything. I realized that what he had thrown in these late model Mopar valve covers, which were all beat up and bent up and damaged, was GM parts. So I couldn't use them. So I had to call him and, you know, had to be nice. And you know, he's telling me a lot of stories and he was ignoring me for a while. And then it's like, you know, well, you know, he said they were there. So finally, today, from FedEx, they showed up. And they are the original parts for the car. I feel pretty confident of that. I've cleaned them up already. Mostly. I'm going to try to wash them in gasoline. Clean out all the holes. Checked for wear. Everything looks pretty good. I don't see any problems with them. I don't see any wear. All the hardware's here. The caps are here. What sucks is I don't know which side is left or right. Because when you take an engine apart, that's very important that you put everything back in an exact location. But you know, everything was just tossed randomly in boxes with no care to make sure. So everything that has worn wears into every push rod. Every rocker arm wears to a certain place. Now I think these were already all here. I think they were already in their original location. I don't think these were taken apart because these rings were stuck because of the, you know, muck and gunk and stuff like that, but they weren't rusty. So I'm looking at all the caps and looking at the tips of the rocker arms, and everything looks pretty nice. You know, there's a little tiny hole here you got to make sure is open because oil is going to go in here to lubricate. It's going to fill this rail and it's going to lubricate and run out and lubricate the tip of the push rod, so you got to make sure that stuff's there. But everything looks pretty good. I did find a hallmark inside of one of these. I don't know if it was an original Dodge one, but you know, I feel very confident that these are the original parts. He says they are, but you know, he told me something like he sold a 413 and he's selling parts off his car, which is dumb in my opinion, or whatever the story is. You know how it goes. You just never know. But they're here. I've got them. I'm happy. And I have the original valve covers, which I've already cleaned up pretty good. And they look pretty nice. You know, you're going to say, oh my God, Brian, they're ugly. They look like crap. Nah, they don't. They're not dented. They're not rusted through anywhere. And they went in the parts washer and they're cleaned. But I'm not going to restore them. Remember, preservation, not restoration. The reason why I'm going to do this is because if I decide to enter Farrah in a Survivor Series car show or competition, everything is going to matter. This is going to matter. A lot of guys, and you may have seen this before, they will paint the valve covers and put them back on a dirty old engine, and it looks bad to me. It just looks bad. I don't think it looks good because it just draws too much attention. This, having it in its original condition, and it verifies the original paint, which is turquoise, and matches the cylinder heads, which I showed you in an earlier video. So, you know, the original paint's still there. And what's interesting is that this is actually a light blue color when it is new, but the heat is what turns it to turquoise, I think. I'm not 100% positive of that, but, you know, the breather's okay. The PVC is still good, so I'm going to keep the original PVC in there. If anything, I might have to just take it apart and I'll actually modify a new PVC if I need it, because I want to keep this original housing, because you can't get these anymore. And if you got one, it would look new, so it's going to look out of place. I don't want that. You want it to look like it's original. That matters. That matters. And they're pretty good. And I'm ecstatic to have these, because this is really this stressed me out for a couple weeks. needing to get these, because you start putting parts from another car on it, it's not going to look like it's the original stuff, and I don't want that. I want it to look original. So in the garage, I also got the push rods. And they're the right length, and they're the correct ones. They're not GMs. They're actually the correct ones. So I cleaned all these up. And a trick that you do with push rods is that you take a smooth, flat table and you roll them. And you make sure they're not waved or bent. You don't want them bent, because if they're bent, it's not going to open the valve all the way. So I rolled all of them. And all of them roll nicely, nice and true. So I got a nice set of push rods. I looked at all the tips and they all look pretty good. They're not worn. It looks legit, like the mileage is 64,000 miles. It does to me. I feel confident it's not 164,000. You know, you never know, but you know, when you're in the business for a long time and you worked on a lot of cars, you can pretty much tell, you know, when someone has done something. And I feel pretty confident to say. Can I say for absolute fact? No, I can't, but I feel confident enough to say yes, I feel it's original. I can't say I know it's original, but I don't want to be that cocky. But so the cylinder heads are ready. I built them the other night. Clean all the valves, put everything in, check to make sure they don't leak, which you can do. There's an old mechanic trick. You take a can of like this carburetor, brake cleaner. It's got toluene in it. It's got whatever's in it evaporates very fast, and it's a lot thinner than gasoline. So what you do is you spray, you know, in here, and you look at the ring. You'll notice there's a shiny ring where the brake cleaner's sitting. So if the valve isn't fully seated, that will leak away instantly. It'll be gone. And you can see that liquid ring is still there. So that'll tell you that that valve is closed and it's tight, and there's no imperfection or anywhere where, you know, the toluene can leak right through, because it's so thin it'll run away. So that's how you're able to tell if you've got leaky valves. So I went and I checked all of them ready. I was just showing you that. It's kind of a neat trick. That's how you know. And if you do get a leak where the ring disappears quickly, you're going to have to take the valve back out, and you're going to have to find that place, mark it, where you think it's leaking through, and you need to address that area, either by relapping the valve or whatever it is. You don't make sure the seat's not cracked or whatever. You don't want that. But everything looked good. All these valves checked out. Everything's seated tight. Everything's closed. So we're good to go on the engine. So I'm really thrilled about that. I mean, ecstatic about that. I'm just totally thrilled about it. And can't wait to start clearing out all these parts and stuff. I've got two projects going on at the same time. But another really exciting thing. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. This is an original Magnum 500 wheel. It came off of a 69 Cornet or a Roadrunner. Bought it off eBay for 50 bucks. No, the guy actually made me a deal, 40 some dollars. It came with a trim ring. So it's an original, well, it's a 69, but it's an original Magnum 500. This is what I want to use for my spare, because the car don't have the spare wheel. And with a sure grip rear end, you need to make sure that if you get a flat tire, that you have the exact same size tire on the back, because if one tire is too tall, one is too short, you can damage the rear end quickly. So that's important. So the tires, that's actually a brand new tire. It's a 225/60/14. And because that is a 5.5 inch wide rim, it looks a little bulgy on the rim. But hot damn, it looks really good on this car. Look how nice that thing looks in the sunlight. Just, oh man. That's the right wheel for the car. So I'm just going to very carefully paint the inserts black again. Clean it up a little bit better. And that will be the spare. Now, these tires are actually on my white Celica in the garage. I bought these tires brand new probably maybe 8 years ago. And there's not even like 800 miles on them. And what I like about them is that You know, if you look at white letter tires that are really old, I don't know, maybe 80s, 70s, it's hard to find white letter tires that are outlined. They're not solid white letters. So the tire looks period. Mohawk Predators. But because I don't drive this car very much, I've got another set of BF Goodrich radials to put on it with a little bit nicer set of wheels. These are the original wheels for this car. So I'm going to take all 4 of these tires off, and I'm going to put another set of tires on this car. And the tires are still like new. So I think these, and then they'll match. So the car will still look good with BF Goodrich, which is in fact the same exact wheel and tires on my Supra. So I'm going to be putting BF Goodrich radial tires on the Celica and taking the Mohawks off and putting the Mohawks on the Polara, because that, even they're actually well, I won't say new, but they're pretty darn nice condition. They're not dry rotted or they're dangerous. They're a modern tire, and the tire actually looks like it's from like maybe the late 70s or 80s. So that's cool. So this is going to look really awesome with brand new Magnum 500s and those tires. And then I got a matching spare, matching wheel, in case I get a flat. I don't have to switch wheels, because if it's on the back or the front, I got to switch them around. It saves me a lot of headaches. But I'm going to be ordering 14 by 7 inch wide Magnum 500s. This is a 5.5, like I mentioned, so the tire will look better on the wheel. And what's interesting is the new Magnum 500s, this is all polished. All polished. Instead of a stainless steel trim ring, it's going to be polished, so it'll look just magnificent on the car. Once the car is all polished up and most of the, preservation bodywork is done to the car, it's going to look pretty hot. It's going to look real hot. So, yeah. All right, well, I'm going to be moving on and going to drop these rocker arms in some gasoline and clean them up and make sure they're good to go, and start working on the interior more. I've got some more seam sealing and floor repair to do. We'll come back to that video in a little while. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Look at you sleeping on Daddy's bed. You are so adorable. You're the official Watches and Wheels mascot. Say, yeah, you're tuckered. It's all been a long day, sleeping and napping, huh? Cute.